today's video where Jay talks about stuff and his wife is weird behind the camera. Thank you for joining us. And now I'd like to introduce the host, Jay. There you go.
Why'd you cut out?
I want to say
my name is the name of the channel. Jay Martin. There you go. Not inaccurate, but also a terrible intro. All right. There is little in this world that I and many more like me find compelling than the concept of the indomitable human spirit. This genuine idea that somehow, some way, we as people are capable of accomplishing not just much, we're capable of overcoming anything. Imagine standing on the brink of despair, facing the unimaginable, and through pure grit, determination, and a spark that refuses to be extinguished, you overcome. This, my friends, is the essence of the indomitable human spirit. Formed from the Latin word indomitabilis, if I pronounce that correctly, it means untamable. This spirit that has kept humanity alive and thriving for millennia. It's a primal force that awakens when we face danger, when adrenaline surges through us and our hearts pound like war drums, when we believe that we are animals which cannot be tamed. We are basically just animals, and yet our minds are our greatest allies, which combine with this adrenaline in order to create the ultimate form that we consider to be indomitable. Truly, it's just the power of perseverance against odds that we logically know we cannot overcome, but we refuse to believe that we won't do it anyways. Think of characters like Steve Rogers, Captain America, standing alone against Thanos and his army, bloodied, battered, but unwilling to give up. Or Mark Evans, the young goalkeeper from Inazuma 11. I'm really bad at pronouncing anime names.
Anita Max Win.
Essentially, a character who refused to stay down and constantly got up despite the relentless assault. And this spirit is not just a tale spun for entertainment, it's real. Even in the realm of art, the spirit shines. People like Vincent van Gogh show us that even through trauma and horrible scenarios, we can create things that will last for generations.
He transformed the pain of his tormented life into ecstatic beauty. Pain is easy to portray, but to use your passion and pain to portray the ecstasy and joy and magnificence of our world, to my mind, that strange, wild man who roamed the fields of Provence was not only the world's greatest artist, but also one of the greatest men who ever lived.
This is the embodiment of the human spirit. The spirit is the fire within us that makes us human. It is our capacity to rise from the ashes, fight for what we believe in, and overcome things not because we could or should, but because we must if we are to be who we believe ourselves to be. That's what makes us human. And you know what? It also makes for a damn good story.
I'm not good enough. I know that much. I'm aware that I have no chance of beating you. No one needs to tell me. It's not about winning or losing. It's about me taking you on right here and right now!
I believe in you!
He's right, get him!
Yeah, do it!
We're all counting on you, Movement Rider!
In media, this archetype is typically shown in one single way when it comes to characters. It's a single person refusing to give up against the odds. Typically, this odd is physical, but it can be a host of other obstacles. It could be mental, such as battling your own mental unwellness, or it could be spiritual, such as somebody literally fighting a demon attempting to be exorcised out of them. Or it can even be physical on a different level. Not necessarily a big fighting bad that they have to overcome, but instead just overcoming a simple physical weakness like disease or illness. The point is, this archetype typically focuses not on just one moment, but instead a character who makes a habit of overcoming these moments more often than not.
Come on, Kakarot! Find a way! I entrusted everything to you! My pride, my promise, everything! Trespass into the domain of the gods and use that might to conquer Jiren! Do it, Kakarot!
Time and time again, we have seen this archetype be a typical fan favorite. Characters like Goku, Spider-Man, and Toph make their characters known by being the ones who defeat insane odds before them, over and over again. This takes it from just being a trope of media and then becomes a defining character trait, because they don't just do it once, they will not ever give up, period. Even when they probably should. Oftentimes, this leads to a further development of the character because of their insistence to not give up. It leads to the ability to surpass their own limits. It's simple math, really. If you have a character who never ever gives up, then odds are there's only going to be 3 options that will happen. They never could face the odds that they were going to face in the first place and died long before it became a character trait for them. 2, they have strong friends who are constantly able to bail them out, which could be fun to watch, but ultimately frustrating to watch over and over again. Looking at you, Cora, I'm sorry, I love you, but oh my god, it took you 3 seasons to win one. Whew. Or 3, the character constantly finds ways to overcome, even if it means surpassing their previously established rules and limits that the character might have had prior in the story. Now, all of this being said and this archetype being explained, the problem with playing this type of archetype is, how do you make that happen in a medium such as TTRPGs, where the systems literally have you bound to rules you're not supposed to break? In traditional media, writers have flexibility to bend or outright break their own worlds and rules. However, in TTRPGs, the rules are often rigid, and the dice dictate outcomes, making it challenging to portray a character who's willing to push beyond their own limits despite anything else. Think about it. In games like Dungeons & Dragons, your character's abilities are defined by their stats, and their class features, as well as just the luck of the dice. No matter how determined your character is, a series of bad rolls can lead to failure, sometimes with dire consequences. The tension relies on the mechanics of the game and you following them. So how do you resolve that to play this character archetype? Well, firstly, description and flavor are everything. If you're a fighter that constantly takes hit on the field, describe that. Describe getting bashed by a kraken, bit by a dragon, burned by an elemental, and describe how your character keeps going despite it.
Hey, Bat Dad. I didn't hear no bell.
This level of detail not only brings your character to life, but also emphasizes the indomitable spirit that they hold within them, even if the dice don't go your way. Paint vivid pictures of your character's struggles and determination at any chance. But secondly, working within the mechanics of the game is nearly always going to make this a more satisfying archetype. So go the builds that make you resilient. Take the feats that let you get back up. Lean into the mechanics that support your character's unyielding spirit. It's not about surviving longer, it's about embodying the fantasy of the character you wanted to make. It's not bad taste to power build towards the fantasy of a character rather than just power building for the sake of optimization. I think honestly, a lot of the times power building gets a very bad rap for no reason. It's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take all these options and create the most powerful build possible to fulfill the fantasy you have. If you're doing it simply for the sake of winning, that's where it gets a little bit more dicey. Beyond that, a lot of the times the problem with this character is that they will constantly try to pursue things that the rest of the party just doesn't agree with. Anytime that I talk about a unique archetype, it's pretty obvious that I'm going to bring up the fact that the rest of your party may just not be on board for what it is that you're trying to do. If you're trying to play a character like this, that means that they're always going to pick the fight. Always. And if you pick a fight that's going to get everybody killed and everybody else understands that, you've just caused conflict at your table. So one of the most important things you need to do is make sure that your party knows you're not going to run away. You're not going to give up. That is what you have built your character around, and make sure that they're okay with that. I currently, in the campaign that I am just now starting up, am playing a character with this type of, well, flaw. And to be clear, this is a flaw as much as it is a strength, as all good character traits are. And so I created the flaw for this character and made sure that we had built in a reason of why, if we ever needed to leave a fight, if we ever needed to not take a fight, we could do that. One of the other characters is one who has been a lifetime friend of mine and knows when it's time to pack up and go, and he respects her opinion to the point where he will always follow what she says, even if he really wants to fight something else. Make sure to provide a reason for your party to want to adventure with you despite this flaw, but then on the other side, make it a strength. Sometimes not giving up, many times not giving up, is a huge strength. Knowing that you can just push forward, knowing that you believe in yourself that much. Make it infectious to the rest of the party. Make it clear that you believe in yourself so much, you believe in them so much that you all can do anything, and then inspire them to also take up that mantle. The characters that I mentioned earlier, Goku, Spider-Man, Toph, are all popular for exactly that reason. When we watch them, we're inspired to do the same.
You might think you're the greatest earthbender in the world, but even you can't bend metal.
Woo! Toph, you rule.
In literary terms, this is known as a static character arc, and anybody who's watched my channel for a long time knows exactly what a static character arc is. You have positive character arcs, where character arcs will go on a positive direction. The characters will learn things, make changes, and become better people because of it. And negative character arcs are, of course, the opposite, things that go downhill. In this very same instance, if we're going to talk about Toph, we can use Zuko as a positive character arc and his sister Azula as a negative character arc, both going in opposite directions, but still fascinating to watch. The static character arc is different, however. It's somebody who does not change, but they're not boring. Instead, they change those around them. Toph does this, and so does Spider-Man, and so does Goku. All of them inspire everybody else around them to be better, even if they refuse to change, even past their own flaws. Goku is ignorant, Toph is brash, and Spider-Man is, well, he's Spider-Man. He doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut.
How? How are you always wherever I'm doing a job? What do you got, some kind of spider sense or something?
Funny you should say that.
But despite those flaws, they still encourage everybody else around them to believe in themselves more. That is one of the most important parts of this archetype. But beyond that, you also have to understand why your character has chosen never to give up in the first place. Knowing that really helps create the actual idea of what this character is, why you're playing them, and why you understand why they won't give up. If they're just doing it because of the sake of doing it, that's not as exciting. But if you can understand the motivation behind the character, suddenly it makes them far more endearing and make that flaw seem much more like a strength. And then one of the largest last pieces of advice that I can give is to help you understand that there's going to be consequences of playing this. We have seen time and time again these characters, and one of the most important and ground-defining things that happens in their stories is that they die. Now, Toph is an exception. Of course she dies eventually, but she doesn't necessarily go through this. But think about it, every time that you have seen a powerful Paragon character like this eventually get taken down. It's always a big deal, and it's usually a huge movement in the story. Most of the time, writers will use this moment to create a new status quo. That's not necessarily going to happen in D&D, but it's also far more likely in TTRPGs for your character to die because you are beholden to the rules of the dice, not some overarching writer who wants to give you plot armor. Now, a good dungeon master will, of course, try and help you when understanding that you've made this archetype, but things happen. There's not really any way to avoid that. So while yes, it is a fun archetype, you're also setting yourself up for huge consequences. And I don't have advice past understand that that's the case and accept it. It's part of the fun of playing this. It's part of the fun of the entire experience. Especially if you do get that moment where you refuse to stay down, you refuse to give up, and it does lead to you falling. But you never once stop trying to get back up. Just like Boromir in Lord of the Rings. It is a truly incredible and wonderful experience that can make you feel so satisfied in playing this type of character. So be prepared, but enjoy it when it comes, if it does. And so with all that being said, just know that this is a fun archetype to play, but like any other, you just have to understand what it's about and communicate it with your party. But genuinely, this is one of, I think, the most inspiring. Because what happens is when you play this, you have to ask yourself, what makes it worth going? What makes it worth it to keep going? What makes it worth it to persevere even when all is dark? That truly is so inspiring in so many ways, and it's why these characters resonate over and over and over, because when we see a character in a story do this, when we get to that own point in our own lives, when we are just down and beaten and we don't know if we can keep getting up, you think, this is my story. This is the story that I have created. This is the story that I get to write. And if that is a character that I like, then why can't I be that in this instance? Why can't I choose to get back up one more time? And ultimately, whenever I talk about any of these archetypes, I talk about them to help you play them, but my hope is that at the end of the day, you get to experience that feeling in your chest of understanding a new portion of what you care about, a new part of yourself that you want to explore and want to increasingly encourage and let flourish. And this is the whole of what I think I do, because I just want to encourage you to not give up the next time, to stand back up and always keep moving forward. Because what is more human than choosing to exist? Because that's what we're here to do. So, go out into the world, make it your own, never forget to play your role, and we'll listen to my wife as she gives the call to action.
Have a great week. Like, comment, subscribe.
I'm gonna record.
And don't forget to continue to donate to the link in our bio. Continue to, you know, donate and stuff. And if we do reach the goal, like, I'm not gonna say it's end of June because we're recording this on July 1st. But like, if you know, still do it, I will commit and like follow through with the whole face reveal. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I know Jay's heart as well, for the donations that you need. It means the world to us, and you have no idea the lives you're changing by being able to help.
For my sake, to make editing easier, sorry, it's not because I didn't like what you just said. Also, we did not hit the goal for the fundraiser in order to achieve that face reveal for my wife, and I do apologize for that. However, we did do a significant amount of good for that family, and we're not giving up either. It's still incredibly important to help these families and these people who are still suffering and trying to go through a really horrible time. And so my wife has agreed to, and I'll probably splice in right here, to still honor the terms of the face reveal if we can finish funding that family. The link is still in the bio and is still in the pinned comment. Please go take a look. Please do what you can. It's so much more important than anything I'm doing here. It's so much more important than anything I said today. So if you don't if you don't get anything else out of this video, know that it is human to exist, it is human to persevere, and that is exactly what these people are doing. So please help.
Bye.
Bye.